Welcome back everyone. So today we're going to do a super simple, easy spiced lentil dish. It's only going to take us about 30 minutes, but you can use this for anything. You can add them on top of your salads. You can have them as a specific side dish. You can have them as a main dish. You can make it as a soup. You can put them in a wrap. The options are endless. So let's get started. Now, you guys already know, dealing with me, I'll have y'all using a lot of herbs and spices. So I want to show you guys what you're going to need for this recipe. Okay, I'm gonna note, for this recipe in particular, you're gonna need to use the red lentils. Now, they can be the split versions, that's totally fine, but they need to be the red ones like this. Because if you use the brown, or the black, or the green, or the yellow, they take a little bit longer to cook, or they just cook at different times, or the texture is different. So it'll be a totally different recipe for those ones. So this is specifically for the red lentils, so you'll need those ones. So we're gonna be using 2 cups of these red lentils. And okay, so the squash that I have here is optional, but I just wanted to add some veg to it. You can also use broccoli or whatever other vegetables you want to add to it, just something that's going to cook pretty quick in less than 30 minutes. Okay, and then we have a large bunch of flat leaf parsley, and I also have like a half a bunch of cilantro under that. I have about 6 to 7 cloves of garlic, 1 yellow onion, 1 tomato. So this is one of the tomatoes on a vine. You can also use Roma tomatoes. You can also use small cherry tomatoes, whatever you like, just enough to suit you for about 1 full big tomato. And then we have a bell pepper. You can use whatever color you'd like. I'd prefer the orange, yellow, or red. So those ones have the most flavor. The greens aren't completely ripened. Now, this here, you know, the spice, you only need to use these if you like spicy. Do not add these if you do not like spicy food. So only if you like the spice. I have 2 Thai chili peppers and 3 Serrano peppers. Now, I know because I've tasted this batch of Serranos, they're not as spicy. So if you taste them beforehand, that's something that I usually do while I'm chopping it to see the spice level, because if they're overly spicy, you're not going to want to add 3. Maybe you might want to add 1 or 2. So check that out when we're cutting them up, okay? 1 lemon, and then I also have 4 cups of water. I use spring water. Okay, so next to the spices. These are all the spices we're going to use. So I have the pink Himalayan salt, smoked paprika. This is coriander, ground coriander. We have onion powder, cinnamon. This is chili powder in here, not garlic powder. Now again, only if you like spice. We have the cayenne pepper, the red chili powder, and then for the rest of these here we have some turmeric powder, ground nutmeg, allspice. What else do we have? Garlic powder, ground cumin, and you know my favorite, thyme, and lastly some fine ground black pepper. The cool thing about a lot of these spices that we're using is so many of them, almost all of them, have different medicinal properties. And I know a lot of you guys may be like, I've never used this stuff, is it really gonna taste good? Listen, just trust me on this, you're gonna love it. So next you're gonna need a pot. So I'm using this big one here. You don't have to use a big one, you can use one maybe like half the size, but sometimes when you're boiling the lentils, they start to like rise and like some bubbles start to form. So that's kind of why I always use the big pot, but that I noticed only happens with the split lentils. I don't know why. So I'm putting 2 cups of the lentils in here, and I'm gonna pour them into the pot, and then we're gonna need to rinse them. Okay, so in they go. Now I'm gonna take them to the sink where we're gonna rinse them off. Okay, so they're back on the stove, and I'm going to turn it on high, and then I'm going to get the water and pour in the water and let it boil. And while it's boiling, we're going to start chopping the vegetables and putting them in, and they'll all cook at the same time. This is one of those easy one-pot meals where we're just going to throw all the vegetables in the pot and let them cook all together. Okay, so here we have the yellow bell pepper. It doesn't have to be chopped perfect. You can chop them into larger pieces if you'd like. They're just gonna go in the pot and cook all together, so it doesn't really matter. Next up is we have our tomato. Now you can chop this up however you'd like as well. Once it cooks down, it's just gonna blend in with the lentils, so it doesn't really matter. And then we're just gonna throw it in the pot. And I should note, if you like more tomato, you can totally add another one. I wouldn't add any more than 2, but it'll still taste really good. And next up we have our zucchini squash. I'm just chopping these into smaller pieces and then going to have them. Like I said, feel free to chop them however you like. They're basically gonna cook down in the lentils anyways. Next up, we have my favorite, garlic. So you see me here smashing them down with my knife because it's a lot easier to peel off the skins once you do that. And then from there, you can either chop them if you'd like, or I like to use my garlic smasher. So whatever is your choice. Okay, now that I put all the garlic in there, as you can see, everything's starting to boil. And this is what I was talking about, how the foam kind of starts coming up a little bit, but I'm gonna get a spoon and stir it up now. Okay. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit now to about a 3. Okay, so next up we have our large onion. Now this is a really large onion in comparison to others, so I'm gonna save a little bit of it because I like to have some raw onions to top the lentils with, so make sure you set some aside for that. As you can see, I am not a perfect chopper. It's all going to the same place. So next up, we have the parsley. So I'm just gonna chop it up into small pieces. You can chop up the stems in this as well because they'll cook down. And then you're gonna get your cilantro as well and chop it up the same. The only thing about the cilantro is I want you to set a little bit aside because we're gonna use that to top off the lentils at the end as well. And then we have our Serano peppers. I'm just chopping these up into small pieces. And then I'm gonna do the same with the Thai chili pepper and then add it to the pot. Okay, so I put everything in the pot. I waited to start so I can show you guys what it looks like. So as you can see, the lentils are already starting to get really soft. Stirred it up. We haven't added the spices yet, but I'm gonna turn it on low now. Okay, so we're gonna add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of smoked paprika. I am guesstimating because that's what I do. You can't overdo it with this though, so it'll be fine. Here we have about a full teaspoon of coriander, about a teaspoon of sea salt, that's Himalayan, some ground cinnamon, and we're just gonna put a few dashes of this. Let's say about 5. And I know a lot of you may not use cinnamon, but it tastes really good, and it's great for circulation in the body. We have the onion powder. I already put 1 teaspoon, so here's the second one. Ground cumin, I'm gonna put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dashes of that. Turmeric, it's about a teaspoon. Thyme, that's my 2nd teaspoon. We got the nutmeg, we're gonna do about 1. That's kind of good. Well, we can do a little bit more. 2 dashes. Spice, I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of this, not a lot. So I don't have the closed shaker thing on there, so I'm just gonna, that's literally all I'm doing. This is my 2nd teaspoon of the garlic powder. And then I have 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper. So lastly, if you like spice, I'm adding some of the cayenne pepper, red chili, and chili powder. So here's the cayenne pepper. I'm gonna add some chili flakes. And this is because I love spicy food, okay, you guys? So don't add this if you're not into spicy food. And then I have the chili powder. Now we can mix it. Finally, let's stir this up. Look at that, we've just hit 30 seconds on the clock. I put a timer on in the beginning to make sure that it was really 30 minutes. And it's pretty much done now. So I just took it off the heat, but I want to taste a little bit of it. As y'all can see, it's really hot. But I'm always that person that's like never patient. I'll like just burn my mouth. At this point, taste it. See if there's anything else you want to add on to it, and you're good. So good. Okay, we're gonna plate it real quick because this is how I like to serve it. I want to show you guys. So now you see how these lentils really break down? That's what the red split peas do. So that's why I said if you use a different kind of lentil, the recipe will be different. Which we'll experiment with other ones too in the future, but this is like one of my favorites. So this is why I love some raw onions topped on there. And a little bit of cilantro. Fresh. And if you're a little spicy girl like me, some jalapeños or Serano peppers. I'm gonna squeeze some lemon on top. I don't want that seed to go in there though. And there you have it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of this Serano pepper like mojo sauce, which is like a spicy salsa, it's raw. And I'm gonna have the recipe for that up next because it's so bomb. I love topping it on everything. Okay, so now for the real taste test. That lemon just adds that like nice zestiness at the end. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So I usually love eating this like with a side salad, with quinoa, with rice, in my wraps. That's what I love about these kind of lentils is they can get like so mushy, almost like creamy like a sauce without any fats. Ooh, if you put a lot of pepper, you know you're gonna start to get hot in here. Anyways, I'm gonna finish stuffing my face. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you make it. I'm gonna make a salad with this and add some sweet potato on the side, you know, and some of that hot sauce. I'm actually gonna make that hot sauce recipe after dinner, so stay tuned for that as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.